Yeah, but
You
we're
know,
talking about men and what is expected of
oh,
them. So, what is expected of men is to lead.
but how does society define a real man? What does it really
The
mean?
question is, what is a real? What do
But
you mean
yeah,
a
what
real
does
man?
it really mean to be a man, a real man you know? Is it that you know, we are
Well, I
real
don't think
man,
I don't.
a real man, a real should if a man show weakness, yeah, should he ask for help or show vulnerability?
See how I can put this.
For, for, for,
I'm not going outside of the description in the Bible because there have been no other book that have defined us as creatures as in the image and likeness of Him who created us.
Mhm.
So to me, that's a real man. A real man is who accept and understand that he is created in the image and likeness of the Most High. In so understanding, it simply means that such a one should follow those commandments that would guide him. You know, should teach them to his youths. Live it instead of just repeating things. Live it. That's a real man. So, ain't about the expectations as you would have been saying. That's why I say expectation need to cool out. You know, look to the book. The book have everything inside of it. If you're confused, go to the book.
So if you see a woman beating up a man and the man is crying and you know, you say, "Oh Lord, you please stop it." You know, I'm sorry, and then you're going. Would that have an impression upon
If
you?
I see that,
Yeah.
I might help a beat him too.
No, because that's why I ask you. You know, what are some
I might
uh,
help a beat him
traits?
because
What are some?
why would a woman be beating a man in the first place? And
No,
I mean, mind you,
it can
granted,
happen.
I have had some very aggressive aunts, and they probably would do that, you know. But you know, while it happened, the frequency at which it happens is not enough to generalize it in a conversation.
Mm,
It is not frequent enough because men are generally the perpetrators when it comes to, you know,
So,
violence between
so
man
a
and man.
real man, would you say a real man doesn't show weakness or ask for help or show vulnerability?
Well, remember this so-called real man that was created in the image and likeness of the Most High have actually brought weakness into the earth, and we now call that weakness sin.
Mm.
So that sin, when multiplied, at least when it when it comes to fullness, it brings forth death. You know, so we can't get away from what sin is, not because we see religion now basically reshaping the word sin into their own image and likeness. Mind you, Father created us in image and likeness. Religion is now creating things into their own image and likeness.
Mm.
Sin, according to the book, to the Bible book, if people who listening late, they don't know what I mean by the book. I mean that book which we call the Bible. Sin, according to that book, define it as the transgression of the law,
Mm.
transgression of the commandments. The commandments and the laws are basically the same thing, but you could divide them into certain categories. Now, if sin is the transgression of the law, and men go ahead and start to, I'll give you an example. I'll try to reach back to that. In the Jewish culture, you have they refer to what we call the Old Testament basically as the Torah, right? But then there's this other book they call the Talmud. The Talmud is like me and you reasoning the Torah. So the Talmud cannot override the Torah. But yet, if you check the situation when Christ was around and all, when the Messiah was around, he told those Pharisees who probably was more into the concept of the Talmud than the actual Torah, that they're basically now creating their own commandment. They're making up their own laws. They're doing as they like. Those were men talking. Those were men being accused of doing these things. So which means it's been a very long time now that men have been going down the road of this sinful nature, and basically, sin start to evolve to a point where it reached to the prophets. See, we think it is Isaiah say that the time will come when they shall call right wrong and wrong right. We see our politicians them right now. What is expected of them? So let me lean that into that now, because since it's predominantly men basically running this thing, what is expected of them? Isn't it expected of them to lead the country into peace and prosperity? Do we have peace and prosperity?
Well, do we? Do we?
Absolutely not. So if we
I
don't,
was going to ask you about the gender roles. What are male gender roles?
no, but
You know, because
we're talking about expectation
Yeah.
of men,
that will lead into that as
Right.
well. Because
men
Mm.